So, all right, you guys. So, like I said, today we are kind of finishing. Our journal kind of finished Renaissance, and we're moving into the Reformation part of this unit. Yeah, Ryan, we'll talk. Okay. So you guys, what are our learning goals for today? Well, after today, you guys are going to be able to know. You will be able to name the new religions that stemmed from the Protestant Reformation. Okay. You'll be able to explain why the Reformation occurred, and you'll be able to do this by also talking about your previous knowledge, like what we've learned in the past couple chapters, and relating it back to this. Okay, and you'll be able to infer how the Protestant Reformation affected the power of the church. Okay, so when you guys see this word Reformation, have you guys? Well, let's see. By a show of thumbs, you guys, have we heard about the Reformation before? So we see a couple of yeses, but a lot of no's too. Okay, so you guys, when we see this word Reformation, what do we think that means? Like, do you guys? I mean, I'll give you a second to think, before I call on anyone. But like, do you see any root words within this word? Okay, so take a look, give it a thought. Nika, yeah, what do you see?
Reform.
Okay, yeah, you see the word reform. So you guys, if Nika said that she sees the word reform, Eric, what do we think might be being reformed?
I think like becoming, making something new.
Yes, so we're going to be making something new. Okay, so kind of like forming something new. Michelle, what do you think we might be reforming? What needs to be fixed in society?
It could be like government or law,
Okay.
or like society and like classes.
Okay, so maybe like government and classes. All right, I like where you're thinking. You guys, what were think back to our last chapter. What was something that people were calling for reform? Like, what was one aspect where people were calling for reform? Hold on, I got something in the chat. Okay.
Probably religion.
Yeah, Keshav, is that what you were gonna say?
I was gonna say the church, but yeah.
Yeah. So you guys, the church. Remember, people are calling to reform the church. Okay. So when we see this word Reformation, we're gonna think reform to the church. All right. So why might the church need reform? Scott, what was going on in the church where people wanted to reform it?
The priests were like not like following the rules, and is kind of not becoming like about religion.
Yeah, so there are a lot of issues with the priest. Catholicism, it's not becoming a better religion. Tyler, what were more specifically, like what were people not liking about the church? What was the church doing that people thought was corrupt? Do you remember anything?
Let's see. I think it was that the priests were like having families.
Yes, that's one of them. Thanks, Tyler. So yeah, priests were marrying, priests were having families, and they're not allowed to do that, but they're doing it anyways. So that's gonna catch people's attention. You guys, do you remember what that word simony means? What is simony? Does anyone raise your hand if you remember what simony was? It's okay if we forgot. Okay, so Adam, what was simony?
Wasn't it where you could sell your church position for money?
Yeah. So it was buying and selling church positions, which again, not what you were supposed to be doing. And then you guys, what was the issue when it comes to the interpretation of the Bible? Why were people unhappy with that? McKenna, do we remember why people were unhappy with how the Bible was being interpreted?
Because they would just say how it was. Like they would make up things on how you should follow it, and no one else had a Bible to read to kind of make their own judgment.
Yeah, so priests were interpreting the Bible their own way, and these people can't read the Bible. So they're just putting all their faith in the priest and they want to start interpreting it themselves to see what it means. So, you guys, these are all things that we talked about. These are the reasons that we need reform in the church. Okay. You guys you're doing great. Okay. Yeah. Keshav, what's up?
So for all this time, the priests were the people that were kind of running the show when it came to religion. What changed in the people's opinion that made them want to suddenly understand the Bible?
Well, remember during the Renaissance, there's this increase in learning, right? And so there's now more emphasis on individuals and individual learning. And so as people learn, religion's one thing they want to learn about. And you guys, who can tell me what was stuff? Remember, stuff was originally written in Latin, but people started to change it, and it was written in, Spencer, do you remember that V word?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember it.
I know you know it. I know it's like right there.
Yeah, but with like the including like German and all of those, like Italian and all of those languages.
Yeah, exactly. So you're writing it in those common day languages. It's called the vernacular. Thanks, Spencer. Yeah. So as things start getting written in the vernacular, right? And people start to put more emphasis on individual learning, people start to want to learn this stuff for themselves. Okay. Does that kind of answer your question, Keshav? Okay. And that was a great question too. So you guys, this is exactly what we just talked about. Why was there this call for reform? Where scholars are challenging the church because, like we just said, the church is corrupt. We have priests marrying and starting families. They're selling and buying church positions. They're interpreting the Bible how they want to interpret it. And people are starting to want to think for themselves. They want to read the Bible themselves. Also, you guys, we have the Crusades and Great Schism. Can you show me with your fingers? Did those increase the power of the church, or did they decrease the power of the church? I see Mark, Michelle, Kanush. Yeah, it decreased the power of the church, right? So church's power is already decreasing, okay? We have some economic causes. Remember that the church owns a third of the land. That's a lot, you guys, a third of the land. But the church pays no taxes. They collect taxes. And if you guys remember during the Crusades, they raised taxes and then never lowered them. Okay. And then you also have political reasons. So remember, I think we mentioned it. At the end of the 100 Years' War, England and France had this new feeling of nationalism. Brian, what was nationalism?
It was basically where people really thought of the country for themselves.
Yeah, so it was like pride in the country you're living in, okay? So people are starting to have pride of their country, and their rulers are the people that they look up to, and these rulers are like, listen, I'm ruling my country. I don't want to listen to the Pope. Like, my country is my country. We are proud to be this country. We're not listening to what the Pope says anymore. We're going to run it how we want to run it, okay? So you have all these things adding up. You have corrupt priests and popes. Again, we just talked about that. Guys, remember, the church is kind of becoming a business. Okay. The printing press and this increase in literacy, like we just talked about with Keshav's question, are going to help, right? People are going to want to learn stuff for themselves. And all of this adds up together, and it's going to create the Reformation. Okay. So the Reformation is a movement for religious reform. They want to attempt to fix the church, okay? But ultimately, it leads to a split. You guys, we've talked about there was a split in Rome, right? The Eastern and Western. The Mongol Empire split. They split into 4 khanates. Is the split, again, show me with your fingers. When we've talked about splits in the past, does it strengthen power or does it weaken power? Yeah, it weakens power, you guys. We've talked about it so many times. When things split, it's going to weaken power. It's going to lead to more vulnerable. They're not going to be as powerful, okay? So, am I okay on this slide?
Wait, can you stay here for 1 second?
Yeah, of course. So you guys, if we've seen power decreasing in Rome with the Mongols, is the church's power going to increase or decrease? Yeah, I see Mark. Mark says decrease, and I would agree with that.
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. So you guys, who's gonna start this Reformation? Well, you have this guy named Martin Luther. Okay, have you guys heard of like the Lutheran? You have the Catholic Church and then the Lutheran Church. You guys heard of that? So Martin Luther is going to start this Protestant Reformation. Okay, he's a monk. He's a teacher. What really sets him off is the sale of indulgences, and this can relate to simony. What you guys told me simony was. Okay, remember simony is Neil. What was simony? It's okay if you don't remember.
I do not remember.
It's okay. Elena, do you remember what simony is?
It was the selling of church positions.
Yes. So simony is the buying and selling of church positions. Indulgences is very similar. It's the buying of pardons. Okay. So basically, think of today. I don't know if you guys are religious or if you have a religion that you follow. But in the Catholic religion, if you sin, you're supposed to go confess your sins to the church, to the priest, and he'll give you a set of prayers to say or something to do. And if you do this, that's how you get forgiveness from God, right? You confess your sins, you say some prayers, and that will get you that ultimately, like your faith and this forgiveness, like confessing your sins, that's what'll help you get into heaven. This indulgence is basically going to the church saying, hey, I've sinned. Here's $100. And the church is like, all right, for $100, you can get into heaven. Like you're buying your way into heaven. You're buying forgiveness for your sins and buying your way into heaven. That's not right. That's not religion. Okay, that's a business. So Luther's going to say this guy has 3 teachings, okay? 3 things that he wants everyone to follow. First, salvation is won by faith in God, okay? You'll get into heaven by believing in God and following God's word. He says church teaching should be from the Bible. There should be no weird interpretations. Priests shouldn't be making stuff up. Everything that the church does should come directly from the Bible. And then he says that all people with faith are equal. God doesn't love anyone more than anyone else. No one is more powerful. If you believe in God, God loves you all equally. So Luther, after seeing this corruption, having his own teachings, he is going to come out with this 95 theses. Okay, that's something you guys are going to need to know. You'll hear this, okay, as you go on. 95 theses. He comes out with this in 1517, okay? This is formal statements and criticisms. It's like written in a letter. It's like a list form. It's like number 1, number 2, and there's 95, okay? And he basically says, here are the problems. I want to talk about this and make change. All right? He's literally, you guys, in this picture, this is Martin Luther. He literally takes these 95 theses, walks up to the doors of the church and just nails them on the door to the church. Okay? And the printing press is going to help him spread. All right? So let's take a look at the 95 theses. I want you guys to take a minute, read through these, and then I'm going to ask someone to give me their thoughts on them and kind of summarize them if they can. You don't have to know like exactly what each number means, just kind of in general, like what Martin Luther's saying. All right, are you guys still reading or are we finished? So let's see, Peter, what do you think Martin Luther's saying here?
I'm not really sure, but something that stood out was like the money clinks in the collection box. I
Yeah.
already know what that meant.
Yeah, nice. So I like how even though you weren't sure, you still pointed something out. So when he's saying, the money clinks in the collection box, when he says that, he's talking about when you're buying these indulgences, right? Like you're putting your money in the collection box. He says you're preaching that you get out of hell and you go to heaven when you pay the church. Like that's not true. Neil, what did you think about these?
Uh, not really sure.
Neil, on my life, I swear I'm gonna get one answer out of you today.
What? Oh, sorry.
You're okay. I'm gonna get an answer out of you before this class is over. Okay.
Okay.
So you guys, who wants to help Neil out? What do we think about these? Like, what is his main point here? Yeah, Spencer.
Put it into simpler terms, he's just trying to point out, since that we already know that he's against indulgences, but he's just trying to point out how just because you paid a sum to the church doesn't mean that your relationship with God changes in trying to
Exactly.
do it in his own way.
Yes, that is perfect. Luther is trying to point out that you are not, going to get into heaven just because you're paying money to the church, okay? We're against indulgences. The church should not even be doing this. There's more to religion than this, okay? So, well, how do you guys think the church is going to respond to this? Parker, how do you think the church is going to respond to this? Oh man, Parker is not even here. Parker, did you fall asleep on me? Not my Parker. Parker, I'm going to come back to you. You are not getting away from me. You are not escaping me. Brandon, how do we think the church reacts to Luther's 95 Theses? Do we think the church likes this?
No.
No, they're not going to like it, right? They're going to be mad. You guys, I have like a woodpecker, I think, like knocking on my wall. I don't know. That's why I keep turning around. I'm sorry. Oh my God, it's so loud too. Yeah, you guys, the church is not going to be happy, okay? The church is going to excommunicate Luther. They're going to tell Luther, like, you're not part of the church anymore. You're out, okay? Stop talking to people. Stop spreading these ideas. You're done, okay? In 1521, Charles V is going to put Luther on trial at Worms, okay? He tells Luther, here's your chance. Take back what you said. You can take it back. Everything will be okay. Luther's like, heck to the no. I am not taking it back. I meant what I said. And so they're going to come out with this Edict of Worms. And that says that Luther is an outlaw and a heretic, okay? You guys, what's heresy? Scott, do you remember what heresy is?
Oh, not really. Sorry.
It's okay. Who can help Scott out? Who remembers what heresy is?
Not believing in one of the main religions.
There's Parker. I knew Parker was here. Yeah, heresy is when your beliefs don't match with the Catholic Church, okay? So they're going to say, listen, we're charging you with heresy. Your beliefs are crazy. And they say no one can help you. Books that mention him and his 95 Theses are all burned, okay? They're done with Luther. But you guys, German cities are actually going to kind of support Luther, okay? Luther's going to translate the Bible into German. And what's that V word that stands for like those everyday languages when you translate stuff into the... Spencer, do we remember it this time?
Vernacular.
There we go. Yes. When he's translating the Bible into these vernacular languages, into German, so that people can read it, okay? So you guys, people are going to split, especially German princes. Some are going to stay with the Pope. They agree with the Pope, and some are going to agree with Lutheran, okay? So anyone who kind of splits from the Catholic Church here is called a Protestant, okay? And from being a Protestant, and we're going to look at like a little diagram that will help you understand this. But you have, the Catholic Church, Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholic, and then there's a split from there. We'll see this Protestantism, okay? That's when you aren't necessarily with the Catholic Church, okay? And from there, different religions will branch off from this split, okay? From this Protestantism, okay? So those who stay with Luther are known as Lutherans, all right? There's going to be a fight between these Protestants, Lutherans, against these princes that are loyal to the Pope. Ultimately, the Catholic princes, the ones that are loyal to the Pope, are going to win, but they cannot force the others to come back to Catholicism. There's no way. They win, but they're like, the other princes are like, well, you win, but we're not coming back. So they're going to settle on this Peace of Augsburg, you guys. This is basically going to say that the princes can decide what religion is followed in their lands. Okay, so it takes religious freedom away from the people, and the Pope will decide what religion is going to be followed by the people that he is in charge of. Okay, I think it's also worth it to mention that there was also a peasant serf revolt because they were inspired by Luther. Okay, Luther, the way he stood up to the church, the way he spread his ideas, it's going to inspire people. The peasants and the serfs are like, we're done with putting up with this. We're going to do what Luther did. They're going to revolt. And they think that they'll have Luther's support. Luther actually, though, supports order and respect. He's like, I cannot support you guys acting crazy, having mobs through the street. The revolt dies down, but it just goes to show how Luther, coming out with his ideas and standing up for himself and the people, it inspires people, okay? So you have this Protestant break from the church, and then from that Protestant break, you're going to have different religions spread off of that. So the first one is Lutheranism, okay? Real quick, I want you guys to watch a really catchy little song on Martin Luther. It's one of those really annoying songs that you guys are going to hate me for at the end of the day, because it'll get stuck in your head. But I like it, so you're gonna watch it. All right, you guys. So this in the beginning is people buying indulgences. Okay, so people are going up, paying, and they're like giving their forgiveness because they paid. There's a little clink of the coins that Luther talked about. And this is Luther nailing the 95 Theses to the door of the church, okay?
You having church problems, then don't blame God, son. I got 95 Theses, but the Pope ain't one. Listen up! Storm the telling about the sin and injustice and corruption I've been smelling. I met that homie gentle, then I started rebelling once I seen the fat indulgences that he been selling. Now the Catholics of the world straight up disgracing me just because I wear my finger at the papacy. My people got riled up over this reformation. That's when Leo threatened me with excommunication. I warn y'all that Rome best agree to the terms. If not, then you can eat my diet of worms. You think you gonna do something spectacular? I put the whole Bible in the vernacular. A heretic? What? Someone told me you're wrong. You forgot salvation comes through faith alone. I'm on a mission from God. You think I do this for fun? I got 95 Theses, but the Pope ain't one. Save me. 95 Theses, but the Pope ain't one. If you have church problems, then don't blame God, son. I got 95 Theses, but the Pope ain't one. 1517 when it first went down. Then the real justice when it started spreading around. 60 days to recant what I said. Father, please, you've had what going on 15 centuries? Oh snap, he's messing with the Holy Communion. But I ain't never dissed your precious hypostatic union. Well, thank you, Zwingli. Yeah, way to disregard that whole I got thing. Getting on to my rosary, you little punk. Your mama should have told you not to mess with no monk. What you bumping me for? Suddenly you sore? Keep that up, you'll have yourself another peasant's war. You blame Tom and Pope for the smack me talking. You ain't never even taught the proper Christian doctrine. With my hat, my Bible, and my sexy little nun, I got 95 Theses, but the Pope ain't one. Save me. 95 species, but the Pope ain't one. If you have the church problems, then don't blame God, sir. I got 95 species, but the Pope ain't one. When I roll a 95, painted straight up for sale. Now they only care whether or not I nailed them or made them. They got psychoanalytic. Now everyone's a critic and getting on my case just because I'm anti-Semitic. I come back from obscurity to teach y'all a lesson. Cause no one here still ain't read the Augsburg Confession. I say Catholicism brings a life of excess, and we all remember when we're down with Philip the Hess. You forgot about me and my religious demonstration. Like you should just go create your own denomination. We don't like this much, so we'll just add a little twist. Now we Anglican, Amish, and even Calvinist. I gave you the power, you got it, abused it. I gave you God's truth, you just confused it. Don't you never underestimate the shit that I done. I got 95 pieces, but the Pope ain't one. Save me. 95 species, but the Pope ain't one. If you have church problems, then don't blame God, son. I got 95 species, but the Pope ain't one. Shout out to Johann Gutenberg. I see you, baby.
All right, you guys. So that's it. It's nothing big, but I think it's cute. I like how at the end he's like, shout out to Johann Gutenberg, you know, the inventor of the printing press. I don't know. I like it. You guys will be going home like humming that. It'll be in your head. So, you guys tell me really quick, why did the Protestant Reformation start in the first place? Why did the church need reform? Yeah, Keisha, why'd the church need reform?
Because the church was corrupt.
Why was the church corrupt? How? Yeah, Keisha, if you can keep going.
Priests would trade in their religious power for money. That was simony. Priests were starting families. The Pope and the people that were affiliated with the church were the only people that could understand the Bible, and so they would interpret it to their benefit.
Yep. And then the last thing that really set Luther over the edge was those indulgences. And what were those indulgences? Who can tell me what the indulgences were? Scott, what were the indulgences?
Wait, what?
So Scott, what was the indulgence? Like Luther saw indulgences and he was not happy. What did that mean? What was an indulgence? The selling of indulgences.
Oh, it was like where they would like trade money for like forgiveness kind of
Yeah,
thing.
see, I knew you knew it. Yeah, just trade when people pay for forgiveness and to get into heaven, right? So we see Luther start this Protestant Reformation, okay? It really takes off in Germany. His followers are called Lutherans, okay? That's the first little religion that starts from this, okay? Lutheran. Now we're going to see how this Reformation starts in England because it's a little bit different, okay? So in England, we have this guy, Henry VIII, okay? Henry is a king of England. You guys, let's just play a little game. How many times in Henry's life, show me with your fingers, how many times do you think this guy can get married? Oh, McKenna says 6. How many? Let me see with the rest of you. Show me with your fingers. Keisha says 5. Elena says 4. Kanush says, okay, you guys, Spencer says, Spencer had 5 up and then he thought about adding some more, but he stuck with 5. Oh, Brian says 8. You guys, McKenna hit it on the nose. This guy is going to get married 6 times. McKenna, did you know that or was that just a guess? You knew? Yeah. So you guys, he's going to get married 6 times, okay? Here's the story. You guys, this is tea time, okay? I don't even want to call this lecture. I love talking about Henry because this is drama. This is juicy drama, okay? So Henry needs a son, you guys. And he has been married for 24 years to Catherine of Aragon, and they only have one daughter, Mary, okay? They're getting old. Catherine's getting old. And he's like, this lady is not going to have another kid. And I need an heir to the throne. I need someone to take over the throne when I die. I need a son. So he knows the church does not allow divorces. And Henry starts off as this really religious guy. He's like a devout Catholic, okay? He's very religious, and he's going to go to the Pope and he's going to say, listen, I'm religious, I'm Catholic, like I get it, I can't get a divorce, but is there any way you can annul my marriage? She's like, an annulment, you guys, the Pope can annul a marriage, it's kind of like canceling it. It's like saying it really didn't happen. Like if you can prove that like it wasn't legit, the Pope will say, okay, your marriage is canceled, okay? So Henry's like, listen, buddy, can you please annul my marriage? And the Pope's like, get out of here. Like, no, I'm not going to annul your marriage. So Henry's angry, okay? He's going to call Parliament and he's going to say, listen, I need you guys to do something. Make it so that I can get a divorce. This is going to be called the Reformation Parliament, okay? They are going to end the Pope's power in England. They're going to put Henry as the head of the church, okay? And so they're going to come out with this act of supremacy, basically saying Henry, the king, is the head of the church. He holds the power, and you can get a divorce. You guys, while this is going on, though, Henry's going to secretly marry his little side chick, his little side piece, okay? So Henry is like already remarried before this has even gone through. But they finally come out with this. They say, Henry, you're the head of the church. You can have a divorce. So Henry's going to divorce Catherine, okay? And then he's already secretly married to his little boo thing number 2, Anne Boleyn, all right? Anne gives him another daughter, Elizabeth. And Henry is pissed. He's like, I didn't get with this lady to have another daughter. So he accuses Anne of treason and adultery, like randomly, like what? Just because he can. And he's going to have her imprisoned and beheaded. You guys, do you remember reading about Thomas More in our intro to humanism, and we talked about him? Do we remember what he wrote? He wrote about, what did he write about? McKenna, do you remember what Thomas More wrote about?
Wasn't it about a utopia?
Yes, exactly. Thomas More was that one who we kind of read about when we were becoming introduced to this new view of humanism. And he wrote about this utopia and this perfect world. Thomas More is actually pretty religious too, and he's a really good friend of Henry's. And when Henry starts doing all this, Thomas More is like, listen, like the church does not allow divorces. And he's like, you shouldn't just challenge the church because you need to. Like you should have a better reason to go against the church like this. And Henry's like, screw you, Thomas. He beheads Thomas again too. So he's beheaded Anne and Thomas, okay? So the third time's the charm, right? He's going to now marry Jane. And Jane, oh my goodness, Jane is the love of Henry's life. But she's going to die kind of in childbirth. She dies, there are complications, and she's going to die from giving birth, okay? Now Jane gives him a son. Oh my God, we finally have a son. But you guys, his son Edward is sickly. Henry's going to need another son because Edward just isn't cutting it. So you guys, this guy marries 3 more times, okay? You start with Catherine. Am I good to move on from this slide?
No, objection.
Okay, I'll wait for a sec. So he starts with Catherine of Aragon. They get divorced because she only has the girl and she's too old. They're married for 24 years and then divorced. Then he's going to secretly marry his little side chick and has another girl. He has her beheaded. Okay. Then he marries Jane. Okay. Jane is going to give him a 6th son and she's going to die. I know, Miles. Yikes is right. Then he's going to marry another Anne. They don't have a kid, so they get separated. Another Catherine. They don't have a kid. She's executed. And then another Catherine. This guy with his Catherines. They don't have a kid, and he actually is old at this point. She kind of nurses him in old age, and she outlives him. He's gonna die while he's married to her, okay? So Henry dies in 1947. His 3 kids are gonna rule England in turn. All right. So Edward's gonna take the throne first. You guys, Edward is 9. He's not gonna be able to rule a freaking kingdom at the age of 9, right? So he is pretty much going to be, his advisors are pretty much going to rule for him. His advisors are Protestant, okay? So they are going to really focus on this Protestant religion, do a lot of stuff to benefit Protestants, okay? Edward, though, is going to die after 6 years on the throne. He dies at the age of 15, because remember, he's not a healthy kid. So then his sister Mary is going to come to power. That's Henry's first daughter. Mary is the exact opposite. She's very, very Catholic, like her mother. She's going to kill Protestants. She is going to return the church to the Pope. She's going to end up dying of cancer, but you guys, she's called Bloody Mary. Have you guys heard when you like look in a mirror and if it's like in the bathroom and you turn the lights off and you say Bloody Mary 3 times, like she'll appear in the mirror? Like, oh my God, I heard that in elementary school and I was so scared. I was like so scared to ever try it. So like still like, oh man, I could not have tried. Did anyone ever try it? I mean, obviously it didn't work, but was anyone brave enough to actually do that? Oh man, I know I wasn't.
Miss Baracco.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the 3rd times the charm slide?
Yeah, of course. Let me go back to it.
Thanks.
Really quick. Yep, here you go. So we have Edward, who favors Protestants, and then we have Mary, who is the exact opposite. She favors Catholics. All right. And Lamar, just let me know when you're good with this one.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. And then we're going to have Elizabeth, you guys. Elizabeth is named the Virgin Queen because she never marries and she never has any kids, okay? Elizabeth is like right in the middle of these two. She is tolerant of religions, of all religions, okay? She's actually going to set up this Anglican church, okay? And this is another little like subsect of this Protestant breakaway. So we have Lutheran and then we have Anglican, okay? So we have our first 2 like subsects from this Protestant break. Okay. This Anglican church, this Church of England that she sets up, she makes it so that there are some things that she puts in there for Protestants. She's like, oh, the Protestants will like this, so I'll do this. The Catholics will like this. Like she wants to make everyone happy with this. Okay. So this is going to be kind of in the middle. Okay. It's going to take some aspects of Catholicism and put it in there. Okay. Are there any objections to moving on? And yeah, Kanush, I'll go back to that. We're almost done, okay? So I'll go back to that in just a minute. So you guys, we have, what's the first Protestant religion that breaks off? Martin Luther. It's Luther's followers. Michelle, do we know it?
No, sorry.
It's okay. Adam, do you know it?
I forgot as well.
Okay, so you guys, we have this Protestant religion, right? This Protestant break from the church, okay? So Protestants are people who are not with the Catholic Church, okay? The first break from this Protestant religion is Lutheran, right? Martin Luther, it's his followers, his beliefs. It's called Lutheran, named after Luther, okay? The second break is this Anglican church, all right? So what's the first one? What's the first one, Adam?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I mean, I kind of just got lost.
It's okay, you guys. Okay, so let me show you this. We have this break from the Catholic Church, okay? And we have Protestantism, okay? And that's this break from the Catholic Church, okay? From here, we have this Lutheran religion and this Anglican religion, okay? So these are like the subsects from this new Protestant break. Does that make sense now that we see it in a picture? I need a thumbs up or a thumbs down from everyone on the screen. If you're still confused, it's okay. You can give me a thumbs down. Okay. We're going to look at this last one, Calvinism, in just a second. Okay. So Adam, tell me again, what's this first religion we see from the Protestants?
Is it the Anglicanism?
Yep. So we have Anglican, the Anglican Church, and then Michelle, did you remember the other one that I just said?
Yeah, Was it the Protestantism?
Yep. So the Protestantism is this break from the church. And you guys, from this Protestant break, you have more religions forming. Okay. So we have this Anglican church that stems from the Protestantism. Okay. And what's this other one? What's the first one we talked about today? Scott, what is it?
Lutheranism.
Yes, Lutheranism, the Lutheran church. Okay. Michelle, I'll stop picking on you. Okay. So you guys, we have two more, but one more that's more important than the other. Okay. So we have Calvinists. Okay. This Calvinism. This is created by John Calvin. John Calvin believes in predestination. When I say John Calvin, actually, it makes me think of Scott Calvin from the Santa Claus. I don't know why that just came to mind, but as I was like, John Calvin, I'm like Scott Calvin, I don't know. Okay, so Calvinism is from John Calvin. He believes in predestination, which means when you're born, God already knows if you're going to heaven or hell. Okay, so God knows. You don't need to spend your life trying to get into heaven because it's already predetermined before you're even born. He leads his people in a theocracy. You guys, what's a theocracy? Who knows what a theocracy is? I don't know if you guys have ever heard that word. Raise your hand if you've heard of a theocracy before. Giselle, was that a hand raise?
Yeah, but I forgot what it means. I've
It's
heard
okay.
of it.
Yeah, you've heard of the word. Keisha, do you know what it means?
I do know what it means.
Yeah, what is it? Do you want to tell us?
I believe it's a government that's led by a religious leader.
Yeah, exactly. It's when, in America today, our church and state are supposed to be separate. But a theocracy is when your church and state are one, pretty much. Your government is controlled by religion. Okay. I wasn't sure if you guys have ever heard of that word or not. But yeah, that's what a theocracy is. Okay. So it's when religious leaders or religion controls the government. Calvinism is gonna, get some popularity, and it's gonna spread to France, the Netherlands, Scotland, and other little locations in Europe. You guys, we also have these Anabaptists, and we're not really gonna learn much about this one, but it's worth mentioning. So like when I was baptized into my church, my Catholic church, I was a month old. Like I didn't make the decision to get baptized. My parents got me baptized, right? So Anabaptists are like, you should be old enough to choose your own religion. So they believe that when you're old enough to decide what religion you want to follow, you can be rebaptized. They're pacifists, which means they don't believe in fighting, and they believe that the church and government should be separate and that all believers are equal. So you guys, someone tell me, what were the religions that stemmed from this Protestant Reformation? Brian, give me one.
The Protestant Reformation.
Yep. So then what religion stemmed from this Protestant Reformation?
Lutheranism.
What was it, Brian?
Lutheranism.
Yep. So Lutheran. Yep. Lutheranism. That's one of them.
Angelicalism.
Yep. Anglicanism. Yeah. You're good, Brian. That was plenty. Peter. No. Who am I calling? I'm trying to make this even. Eric, what was another one? So we have this Lutheran religion, this Anglican church, and what were the two that we just talked about?
It was the Anabaptist and Calvinist.
Yes, Anabaptist and Calvinism. So you guys, the Reformation happens, and we have this new Protestant break from the church, and from this Protestant break, we see Lutheranism, Anglicanism, Calvinism, and we have Anabaptists, but we're not going to focus on that too much, okay? So, oh, and I also wanted to point out, you guys, in this map, it's really great at showing you, like this yellow are Lutheran followers, like it's predominantly Lutheran. So you see it kind of starts in Germany and it'll spread. The blue is Calvinists. So you can see like it's in a bunch of different areas over here. England, remember the England church is the Anglican church. And then I just want you to see that Christianity, or I'm sorry, Catholicism, it didn't just go away. Like it was still very predominant in Europe, but it was just starting to lose power. Okay. Does this make sense to you guys? Can I see like a head nod or a thumbs up or something? Everyone, okay. Okay, so